possibly you had PTSD. And then when they sent you to the other psychiatrist.
So the first doctor, that was Dr. Goss, right?
Yeah, and
okay.
find this report. So yeah, so Dr. Goss, where is it here? Back when he saw you in 2009, probably, I guess.
So they don't really give a reason why I have it. They just say I have it, but it's not work related.
He said it was a provisional diagnosis, would include that, right? So he was saying, like, that's my provisional diagnosis. So then when they sent you to see, you've seen Dr. Abbas and you've seen Dr. VC, who both say you don't have it.
Yeah, but I thought we all came to an agreement that Dr. VC's report wasn't worth wiping my ass with because he got me confused with another patient.
Well, the stuff in his report is about people.
But there's also stuff in the report about me having breast cancer and a whole bunch of other stuff too that never happened.
And then Dr. Abbas also says you don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the decision is that that's not the right diagnosis for you.
Okay. No, I was just confused as hell as why. Because when I went in to see Dr. Goss, the only thing Dr. Goss wanted to discuss in 2010 was the sexual harassment at the liquor store in 1993. So that's why I'm confused, because I've never really gotten a straight answer out of that.
Is that where is that?
That wasn't even why I was sent to Dr. Goss.
No.
I was sent to Dr. Goss after I was assaulted, and my employer turned around and said I wasn't assaulted.
Right.
That's a whole other arm on this machine.
Yeah. But do you think the PTSD is from that original one, the sexual assault, or is it from your time as?
It wasn't a sexual assault. It was a sexual harassment, and I tried to get that cleared up too, but workers' comp doesn't seem to want to differentiate between the two, which is fine. That's fine. I don't expect them to be that up to par. But did it cause my PTSD? No. Did it set me up for PTSD? Absolutely.
Right. So it's kind of just
because every safety net that was supposed to be set up to help me, including workers' comp, didn't.
Right.
That's part of PTSD too, but they don't look at that because they're the cause of that, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, no, I was just confused because
when
I tell people I don't have PTSD or that it's not work related, it ends up in a good laugh. So I'm just kind of, I was just confused, I guess.
Well, I know, but so is there someone else? Like, we have basically two psychiatrists saying that you don't.
You have two psychiatrists, two workers' comp psychiatrists whose opinions aren't worth wiping my ass with. That say I don't.
Dr. Abbas doesn't work for us.
When did I see Dr. Abbas?
Let's see. Let me find his report.
Because they only sent him half the information too. There was no mention of a head injury or anything to Dr. Abbas. See, that's part and parcel with the problem. I was sent to a doctor with one specific injury. By the time I saw Dr. Abbas, it wasn't related to what I was supposed to be there for.
Right, but as a psychiatrist, they would just interview you and.
Well, as a psychiatrist, if I was a psychiatrist and I was assessing someone for PTSD and no one told me that she was attacked by a patient and had a head injury, I'd want to know that.
But did you tell them?
When I tell these people at the end, when they say, well, this is, I don't know what's going on. And I say, well, could the head injury and assault be in there? And they look at me because this is the first they're hearing of it. Because workers' comp doesn't say shit about it, Lisa. The bladder, when I went through the whole rigmarole with the whole bladder issue, and I sat down in Dr. Bailey's office. Now, he's the top urologist this side of Montreal. And I had a case manager telling him he didn't know what he was talking about. And I went into his office for the last time, said, okay, I guess I'm going to be pissing my pants for the rest of my life for some unknown cause. I said it wouldn't have anything to do with a head injury, would it? And he looked at me. He said, when did you have a head injury? I said, 2006. He said, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
But none of the CT scans or anything show any.
Lisa, I started pissing in my pants 2 weeks after I had the head injury. There were days where I had to sit on the floor with my legs crossed up like an Indian because I couldn't stand up because the whole room was spinning. Like none of that is mentioned. Me and my doctors got tired of bringing it up because workers' comp said there was nothing wrong. And when you get 2 or 3 back-to-back injuries that are not being dealt with, things start blending together, which is what happened.
Yes.
So when I complain about one thing, like I'm listed as TMJ diagnosis with a head injury. That's the only thing they have down. I had a head injury. And the only thing that they've got listed is TMJ. But oddly, they have TMJ listed for the Nova incident too. And that was my shoulder. Right. Like the incompetence here, Lisa, is beyond. I didn't even read those denial letters. I just sent in an appeal, said I'm appealing it. I just forwarded it to Kendra Combs, my MLA, and everybody else that wanted to see them. I knew what was in them.
So, Dr. Abbas, you saw in 2013.
Yeah. Way before. This is 2023, Lisa.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, have a recent diagnosis.
You go through. Ask how many times have I asked to see somebody and was told no, I don't need to.
Well, I'm working on that.
Yeah. No, I'm working on that, Lisa. I'm working on that. As far as I've got, I've done myself.
Are you seeing Dr. Christians? Have you seen him yet?
Not yet. I can't get in yet.
I mean, we do have another, like we have a newer.
No.
For us, and I could get you into.
I do not trust workers' comp as far as I can throw them, Lisa, at this point. And oddly, that's where when I was seeing the last good psychologist that I had. Yeah. That's where we were. Her only job at that point, and she told comp, right now I'm trying to build up trust between her and her employer and her and workers' comp, and it's very hard to do for obvious reasons. Next thing you know, that psychologist, boof, gone.
Do you have a workers' advisor that works with you?
There's no point, Lisa. I'm doing this all on my own right now. Right now, I'm representing myself because
I know.
Everything that comes through is, well, you can only talk about this and you can only discuss that. No, we're past that point now. Now we're into intimidating federal witnesses. We're into a whole pile of stuff. And they're going to hear it. But with my advisor, I couldn't even bring up what time of day it was unless he okayed it.
Who was intimidating witnesses?
My employer.
I thought you meant somebody at Jersey.
Well, and workers' compensation, because workers' compensation gave them the information to do it. We had a safety hearing, a federal safety hearing that had nothing to do with me, that I was subpoenaed to testify in, because my sheer existence proved that Corrections Canada was an outright liar. And they said if I showed up to testify at that tribunal, they were going to turn my workers' comp claim into a witch hunt. I had that in writing.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't want a pile of shit, Lisa. I just want to get my treatments, get my pain under control, and go on with what little is left of my life.
Yeah.
I'm too tired to burn shit down. But when I get letters like this from Anastasia,
mm-hmm.
what am I supposed to do with that?
Well, like I said, Melissa, I needed to get you that decision so you could appeal it. But
that's all fine and great. I got a decision like an appeal now that's going to take me 3 to 5 years to get there.
Well, what I was saying is if we can get you in with the workers' advisors, they could send you for an IME for psych and pay for it.
Workers' comp isn't going to listen anyway, Lisa. I've been there. I've had them. There's a report there from Dr. Gillis. A report there from Dr. Gillis that they didn't put through. Why? I don't know.
Well, the whole marijuana thing is a different issue with the policy.
But Lisa, here's the thing. It's not a different issue with me because that's what helps control my pain. And actually, believe it or not, contrary to whatever workers' comp thinks and says, that's what keeps me under the radar.
Yeah, I know.
It's one medication treats my entire body, all of my claims. I can't take it and say, okay, you can't go to my shoulder because that's not the claim you're under. But to turn around, today by 10 o'clock this morning, I had all 4 of my daily allotment of Tylenol 3s in me. I've had a headache for 9 days. 9 days. And the craziest part is, I was able to record my headache by holding my phone to the side of my head. That's how bad it pounds. I've got concerns about vascular issues from the head injury. I've got a lot of concerns because as a nurse, and as a good nurse living in this body, there's no better way to diagnose what's going on. But nobody will listen to me. Nobody will listen to me. Comp won't listen to me. Comp won't even listen to my doctors. And they won't listen to the doctors in the community. So that's why my MLA is getting involved, because we're in the middle of a healthcare crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And workers' comp says that the doctors in the community, and I have that in writing, the doctors in the community don't know what they're talking about. This is rolled up into the biggest, ugliest snowball I have ever seen in my life. And it's my snowball. That's the saddest part. It's my snowball. And people can pick away at this and that and everything else and do the very minimum to say, yeah, we did this. But when the bigger issues are not being looked at and dealt with, the little issues don't mean anything.
No, I know. But I was trying to get the ball started for you. But I think what I'm saying is that if we can get you in to see somebody else, then maybe that would make a difference.
What's the point of me seeing somebody else, Lisa? If they're going to send in a report and workers' comp isn't going to agree with it, they're going to say no.
No, that's not. I'm looking at the file now, so
and
I will mention.
Well, it doesn't, because the buck stops at workers' comp. Yeah. They can send me. You can send me to all the places you want. The buck stops with them. The buck stops with them. That's it. And the more I kick my feet up, the more of a hard time I'm getting, which is really disgusting. All I'm trying to do is stand up for myself. The more you stand up for yourself, the more they pound you into the ground.
I really am trying to get this.
I understand that, Lisa, but you have to understand my point too. Is that you could send me to the best shrink in the world. But when I get letters like I got yesterday, it don't mean nothing. Because the right hand don't know what the left hand is doing. Because I got a friend of mine to read that letter, and she's asked me for an update on what was going on because she's quite concerned. And the letter she read is completely different than the update I gave her the last time we talked. So I guess my point is, what's the point of going through with a lot of the things that you're trying to line up if they're just going to say no anyway? Or everything I need is going to be denied. And it's going to take 3 to 5 years to get to a tribunal.
Well, I think what I was trying to say is everything is kind of hinged. A lot of the things are hinged on the PTSD, right? So the home renovation piece of the bedroom moving.
The home renovations are hinged on the PTSD?
No, the piece around putting your bedroom in the basement.
I've been sleeping on an air mattress on the basement floor since April.
Right.
What's another year, Lisa? This is the thing. I've made more adjustments and I've given up more in my life to accommodate this incompetence that I'm willing to even think about. So you to say, well, yeah, this is all hinging on your PTSD. Anybody outside of workers' comp that looks at what's going on said definitely. But the only people that think that it's not work related are the people that have to pay for what has to do with it, which is really sad.
It's really not about that it's not work related. It's having a diagnosis that you have it. There isn't a psychiatrist other than Dr. Goss who said it was a preliminary diagnosis, and then we have 2 more that say it isn't. So,
Lisa, how can here's in the grand old scheme of things, how in the F can I get a diagnosis when I have no benefits? I have no medical benefits because I was fired. Okay, my case manager told my employer that I was using cannabis. I was fired. I lost my pension and I lost all my medical benefits, federal medical benefits that went along with that, including dental, medical, all that. I became completely reliant on workers' comp. I'm begging them, and you can look back in messages. I'm begging them to go see somebody.
Yeah, well,
and they're telling me I don't need to see anybody. So because I don't have a diagnosis that says, I'm going to write a list down.
Well, let me see
and I'm going to start with the 9 people I cut down in corrections, because I don't know what the parameters are for PTSD at work. Like, because I cut down bodies. I had a guy walk up to the desk and hand me his testicle that he cut out in the shower with a spork.
So here's what
I don't know what examples they need, because I worked at a jail. I worked in the trenches of psychiatry. I was attacked twice. My employer completely left 3 times on 3 different occasions in my adult careers at work, which is what was my employment. These happened, but none of them were work related.
Well, why don't we leave it with me until Tuesday, because I have a meeting with our chief medical advisor on Tuesday. It sounds to me like you almost should have a new claim just for PTSD.
I think I should be, and I think I know where it's going to be pointing to, and it ain't going to be work. That I can tell you.
Well, we need it to be work.
Well, you know what? What does workers' comp? What does workers' comp do when a doctor says, yes, she had a lot of stuff at work, but she was resilient and she used all her skills and she did the best she could, but workers' comp beat her into the ground? What does workers' comp do then? They say, no, your PTSD is from comp, so we're not covering it?
No, but...
No, really, that's a legitimate question. If my workers' comp is caused from PTSD, will they cover it?
Well, yeah, it's hard to relate to dealing with us.
You look at the last 16 years of my life, Lisa, what I went through with comp, and you tell me that my workers' comp has nothing, my PTSD has nothing to do with comp.
Well, I'm not going to say that it doesn't have something to do with frustration or all of those things, but if you look at the diagnosis, like the criteria,
if you look at the criteria for the diagnosis, a moral injury is close to the top.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to get
their own PTSD conference in September focused on moral injuries, Lisa. Focused on it. So
yeah. So just let me. Why don't you do that? What you said about writing down all of the exposures that you've had to traumatic events at work, and over the
I can
years.
even give you names of co-workers that witnessed it.
Perfect. But yeah, you do that, and I'm going to meet with. I have a meeting. Let me see what time my meeting is here on Tuesday. I think it's at 1, but just 1:30 maybe. Monday. It's at 1:30. So I'm meeting with our chief medical guy at 1:30. So I'm going to bring this up with him to see, you know, who can we send to, what kind of treatment, you know, what should we do?
When you bring that up with him, you ask him to have a look back to. It was just I can't remember. It was after 2010 anyway. My GP sent in a separate diagnosis. Sent in a workers' comp claim. On its own.
Yeah.
With PTSD for just PTSD. That was already done.
Okay.
They ignored it.
Yeah. You know what? But we had the presumption legislation in like 2019, so it's kind of better if it comes in later. But let me see if you have
but
one.
Lisa, that's also why they're saying they're backed up too, and you can't say you're backed up. You're backed up when it's your own fault.
Yeah. So we don't have any. 2010 is the last one that you had, but they put it in with your neck claim.
It could be on another file too.
Yeah, well, it's good that it's not here because we can get it under the presumption legislation. It's easier to kind of get it through, but just leave it with me for now. You rewrite down that stuff, and I will chat with him on Monday, and I'm going to put in my calendar to give you a call around 3 on Monday. Does that work for you?
Yep. I have an appointment with my GP on the 19th to get the MAID paperwork and that finalized. So, do you want me to get her to send in another thing for PTSD?
No. Well, I'll let you know on Monday what we need.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Try to have a good weekend.
No, it's. I've been on my face for 8 days, Lisa. I'm not. It is what it is.
Yeah, I know. Well, like, honestly, just hang in there.
I'm trying.
Hang in here. And we'll see what we can get done on Monday, okay?
All right.
All right, you write that stuff down, and I'll work on this side of it.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.